My name is Dr. Alan Fromherz, and I direct the Middle East Studies Center here at Georgia State University. And I am in collaboration with Dr. Abdulrahman al-Salimi, who is sitting right here. And Georgia State University is in collaboration with the German University of Technology, which is the main sponsor of this event and of the prizes. And I think it's a sign of the oceanic attitude or oceanic approach of the German University of Technology and its leadership that they thought of making this an international collaboration. And I think that we embody that spirit of the Indian Ocean in this very event itself. So thank you all for being here and being part of that oceanic perspective. And I do have some remarks here, and I hope that you will play along with me here a little bit, because I know some of you know this story. I'm going to see with the look in your eyes if you recognize it or not. Know, my noble masters, that my father was one of the leading citizens and merchants of Baghdad. He died when I was a small boy. I grew up, I ate well, drank well, associated with other young men, wore fine clothes, and went out with my friends and colleagues and had a wonderful time. I came to my senses and recovered from my heedlessness, only to discover that the money was gone, that my situation had changed, and that all I had once owned was lost. So I got up and collected what I had in the way of furnishings and clothes and sold them all. That brought me 3,000 dirhams. And then it occurred to me to travel to distant and foreign parts as I remembered these lines of poetry. It is through toil that eminence is won. Whoever seeks the heights must pass nights without sleep. The pearl fisher must brave the depths of the ocean. Well, if he is to win power and wealth, whoever hopes to rise without effort will waste his life in search of the impossible. We then put out to sea and sailed for a number of days. Whenever we passed land, we bought, we sold, we bartered. It was very normal, it was very regular, just like the monsoon, right? We know, we can predict these winds, right? And we sailed on like this until we reached an island which looked like one of the meadows of paradise. This island, however, turned out to be a giant fish that had stayed motionless in the middle of the sea until it became silted up with sand on which trees have grown over time so that it looks like an island. When you lit your fire to see the island, it felt the heat and it started to move. It is just about to dive into the sea, and you will all be drowned. Save yourselves! Throw all your possessions into the waves! To me, the giant fish, what does it represent? What does this giant fish in this famous story from 1001 Nights, the story of Sinbad, its first journey, what does it represent? I think it represents the Indian Ocean itself. So deceptively predictable at times, like the monsoon, that trees and sand can accumulate like our assumptions about the cultural boundaries and identities and places of the Indian Ocean. But then, when we humans and we academics light our fire to try and tame it, to try and fully understand it and describe it, everything collapses and disappears. This is what I think the Indian Ocean represents, is this agency of wildness, this agency of the sea over the story, not the story over the sea. And that is, I think, a part of what all of our authors have brought with their contributions as well. So in sounding the Indian Ocean, there are individuals like Siti bint Saad, the Tarab musician, who traveled to India to have her voice recorded and to sing her story to the world. In the book Muslim Cosmopolitanism, we hear the riveting tale of Sayyid Fadl. His travels from the Malabar coast to Arabia, Prince of Zofar, ending up in the palace of Abdulhamid II.
Yes.
Right? And his situation changing because of the climatic shifts that were happening, because the monsoon didn't reach the Zofar for a few years. Zanzibar was a country, opens with Habiba al-Hinai, only 5 years old when she had to be smuggled out of Zanzibar during the middle of a revolution, hunched down in the bottom of a boat, literally in the Indian Ocean for 17 hours at the sea's mercy. Despite the diversity of all these stories, the Indian Ocean envelops them and determines in many respects their destiny, holding them all at various points like chess pieces balanced on the deck of a ship. The Indian Ocean and the oceanic perspectives that come from encountering the unexpected, like that fish, unites and shapes all of these stories. Even though we have a political economy prize, history prize, and an anthropology prize, they are all united by this experience of encountering the Indian Ocean. So it is in that respect, and it is in trying to understand that greater mystery of what Indian Ocean culture is, that I want to start this inaugural Monsoon Book Prizes. And that's one of the questions I asked all three of the presenters today. Although we would love to hear a lot about the book that has already been written, don't just read a chapter from the book, please. If you could try and answer the question, what is or was Indian Ocean culture? Is there even such a thing, and how do we know it? Or once we light the fire on it, is it going to sink our assumptions, right? So thank you for being here for this intellectual adventure into the Indian Ocean. My gratitude, my intense gratitude goes to Dr. Abdulrahman al-Salimi, who is the co-director of the Monsoon Book Prizes, and to Sheikh Abdullah al-Salimi, His Excellency, the former Minister of Religious Affairs in Oman, and the board of directors of the Durban University of Technology. And I would like to welcome Abdulrahman up here to give a few remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, well, dear distinguished scholar and professor and colleagues and students, I am pleased to be among you here this day. But before we can understand the history of oceans, we need first to grasp how mankind knowledge of them has developed and taken shape, not only in the experiential and scientific fields, but also in the non-scientific sphere, such as literature and the arts and the creative imagination. In other words, knowing the blue through the humanities. But to put briefly, the study of ocean through the humanity be described as the blue humanities. What can the humanities tell us about the relationship between man and the oceans, historically as well as in the present day? Although the scientific study of the role of the ocean in human history was published relatively recently, we have actually learned just as much about the sea through the humanities as we have through the sciences. For 1,000 years, people have known the ocean through the books or the works and plays, as well as through myth and legends, arts and musics, and storytelling. The human imagination pictures a world beneath sea long before there was before we humans were actually able to experience such a world for ourselves. While thanks to the blue humanities today, a new emerging discipline man is exploring the cultural links between people and the oceans from the past to the present day. So what can anthropologists, literary scholars, historians tell us about the deep connection with the oceans? As far as the Indian Ocean is concerned, the earliest data was recorded some 2,000 years ago. Is the Provost of the Eritrean Sea, a book written by a Greek trader in the 3rd century. The authors saw the Indian Ocean as an inland sea, with the border along the shore of Oman, Yemen, and the East Africa coast, so that it was a sea separating Africa from Asia. However, by the 8th century, people realized that it's considerably larger than has orology imagined, and was visualized as a maritime version of the Silk Road and the overland road between Asia, Far East, Turkestan, and China, and the eastern shores of the Mediterranean. It was believed that the Silk Road was a route used from transporting goods across countries and lacked access to the sea for long. Navigable river. Now, however, we know that is the land route was used for transporting light mariners, while heavier goods and larger volumes of freight were shipped by sea. From ancient times, the Silk Road was more than just a local or domestic feature, because trade and exchange of goods had the effect of promoting peace along its routes. And it was also true of the Indian Ocean from the 9th century, when ships regularly played from Basra, Suhar, Siraf in the west and the coast of India and China, through the Strait of Malacca and to the east, and also down to the East Africa. The ocean was a greatly featured because it was prone to violent storms and typhoon of the kind we read about the tales of Sindbad and the wonders of India and the voyage of Suleiman the merchant. This continued to be the case until shipbuilding and design method improved and seafarers became better informed about the location of the islands in the Indian Ocean and that offered them refugees, as well as a place to anchor their vessels and exchange goods with the visiting Indians and Chinese ships while they waited for the stormy weather to subside. After the 10th century, the whole Indian Ocean became a haven of peace. The smaller vessels traded between the more local ports, while the larger ones sailed back and forth between Oman and Basra and the Sea of Oman and Arabian and the ports of India and China and Southeast Asian and East African ports. At this point, there were 3 major factors in the Indian Ocean favors. Firstly, people had come to understand more about climatic and storm patterns and astronavigation. And secondly, shipbuilding techniques had become more sophisticated and advanced. And thirdly, new trade laws and standards were beginning to be introduced and transcended the boundaries of religion, race, and ethnicity. Today, the shores of the Indian Ocean comprise the most diverse range of ethnicity, religions, and language on a global from the heart of the Earth's civilization and culture. Its littoral states have acquired a vital global strategic, economy, and political significance, and the region is expected to play a critical and highly influential role in the world of the 21st century. Mankind has always suffered from a type of prejudice that the English philosopher Richard Rader and later Australian philosopher Peter Singer has described speciesism, that is to say, an attitude that sees the human race as the lord of all species, leading man to behave that is the much superior of all creators. One, the assumption that man alone possesses a culture. However, today, we cannot say that the human culture is the only culture that exists in the oceans, since we know that other species, dolphin, whales, and shark, for example, also have cultural on their own, and students of animals' behavior are constantly discovering more and more amazing about them. In the Quran, as I could remember, this is to say, there is, in the verse, there is not an animal that lives on the earth, nor a being that flies of its wings, but forms part of communities like you. No things we omitted from the book, and they shall all be gathered to their Lord in the end. I am very thankful for you, and very thanks, of course, this international prize is launched by Sheikh al-Salimi and sponsored by Geotech, but I'm really for the cooperation without Georgia State University, with the team, with the staff and the faculty, and we hope that is promoting this cultural of ocean studies and precisely to the Indian Ocean Study. Thank you, Alan, and thank all friends. Thank you, Xania and Aho, all the friends. Thank you very much.
I would next like to welcome Dr. Carrie Manning, who is our Associate Provost for International Initiatives and a Professor of Political Science, an active professor, with a specialty in comparative politics. She is the author of 5 books, most recently Taxing Democracy, Local Taxation, and the Social Contract in America, and Politics, Parties, Peace, Electoral Inclusion as Peace Building. So we have a lot to learn from her research as well. Please, Dr. Manning.
Thanks, Alan. Well, first I would like to thank everyone who has made this event possible. Dr. Abdulrahman al-Salimi for organizing the prize. Alan, for your tireless work in bringing international work, especially from the Middle East, to Georgia State. All of our scholars, authors, presenters, graduate students who are with us today, we appreciate your work and your sharing your research with us. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my colleague Ahu Kostak-Bulat and her team who have really provided the support to make this event possible and sort of bring it into life. Alan has asked me to just say a few words about Georgia State University and about our support for international initiatives here. I lead this office, the Office of International Initiatives. Georgia State, as many of you probably know, is a very dynamic, fast-growing, research-one, public urban university. We have around 52,000 students on 6 campuses. This is the largest campus and the first campus. And we have a few bragging points that I feel obligated to share with you. We have been the #1 public university in the US for undergraduate teaching for 5 years in a row, which we are particularly proud of because we are also a high research intensity institute. Thank you. We have also made the list of the top 5 most innovative universities in the United States. For the last decade. We are the 5th fastest growing research university in the US. We are the 5th public university on the list of top study abroad programs for the first time this year. So we, of course, in OII are particularly proud of that. And we also make the list of the top 10. We're number 8 public university in the US for undergraduate research and creative projects. So we are a university that really prizes our teaching and our research, and we are especially interested in creating a culture of research and inquiry starting with our undergraduates. But the thing that we are probably most well known for is student success. So we have a National Institute of Student Success that's federally funded and that attracts scholars and administrators from around the world to figure out how to dismantle barriers to college access and completion for students of all backgrounds. And that's, again, something I'm also feel particularly proud of that. I've been a faculty member here for 27 years, so it's been nice to be able to see the progress that's been made. Here at the Office of International Initiatives, we are working to make international education and global engagement available to students of all backgrounds, and also to support our faculty in their international initiatives. And this event is really wonderful because it helps us to highlight for the university audience as well the support that we'd like to provide for our internationally engaged scholars. We have a sort of suite of programs that we offer to students, starting with a free passport program. So students who are getting their first passport can get that passport free. We are fortunate to have an international education fee that all students pay. It goes, more than 90% of it goes to fund student scholarships to study abroad. So last year we were able to give away about over 1.4 million in scholarship funds to our students to support study abroad. We've also achieved tremendous growth in our virtual exchange program. So even with the international education fee, only about 3% of our students study abroad. However, we are working to provide international education experiences for students who are going to stay right here. And one of those ways we do that is through virtual exchange, where students in classes here can work in teams or individually with partners with students in other countries. So we have very strong program there. We have reached more than 10,000 students through that program just at GSU since 2019. We also have one of the few university-wide academic distinctions that Georgia State offers is the Global Scholar Distinction, which we are also similarly very excited about. It's available to students of any major, and students get a badge and a cord that they can wear at graduation. We also offer students and faculty access to talks from our partner organizations here in Atlanta, like Global Atlanta, the World Affairs Council, and we have recently started to offer a small seed grant program for faculty who are engaged in international research. And again, this event is just an excellent example of that kind of faculty research that faculty are doing, but also bringing in their colleagues and sharing with us and with students their research network. So thanks everyone for coming today and for being part of this event, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the day as it unfolds. Do you want me to introduce you? Oh, you've got to. You've got it.
No, you
No, you got it.
Lindsey,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. I just want to echo what Carrie was saying about Ahu and Lisa as well. If Lisa is here, you've probably been corresponding with her a lot. And Radate and all the student assistants who have been doing wonderful work. And they're really who made this happen and allowed me to think and to take care of my 18-month-old daughter as well. So thank you all. Dr. Lindsey Cohen is our distinguished, there he is, Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Georgia State University. He joined the faculty in 2004 and led the Department of Psychology as chair from 2020 to 2023. He was appointed as dean in January 2024. He is a distinguished university professor as well and an excellent scholar in early childhood and childhood psychology as well. So I might have to talk with you sometime. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Lindsey Cohen.
If you're following along in the program, you'll see Dr. John Augusto was doing these remarks. So I'm kind of playing. He couldn't come, so I am chitting for him. But I want to thank Dr. al-Salimi, Dr. Fromherz for this wonderful event. Carrie Manning, Dr. Manning, for all the international initiatives, all the international collaborations. It's more important than ever that we work together, we rely on one another. During your remarks, I didn't have a lot of planned remarks because I jumped in, but while y'all were speaking, I was thinking about the Indian Ocean and the importance of it, and it's has this sort of constant. And regardless of the weather, of the monsoon, of what's happening on its shores, there's this kind of constant. And I feel like universities and arts and science in particular, they have science, which is going to be a constant. We all rely on science for any future endeavors. and we rely on our creativity and our creative arts and all of the writing and artistic endeavors. All of those are at the heart of arts and science here in our college. And this is a perfect example, looking at the different prize winners and the different ways people are looking at literature and scholarship in this area, is just sort of a reminder to me that regardless of what might be happening in the world, that will come and go, but we have this constant that we all cherish and we all see as important, and I think humanity would agree, and it will continue on. It was just coming to my mind as I heard y'all's comments. Jumping on what Carrie said, as she brags about the university, you could really brag about the College of Arts and Science. We are a strong science. Most R1, Research 1 universities, they have the Research 1 status built on their research in medical schools or engineering schools. We don't have either. The largest grant receiving part of our university is arts and sciences. So it's the social and behavioral and some of the STEM sciences that we do in our college. We're the heart of the university. We're the ones who teach all the core courses. We're the humanities. And we have our sort of wonderful trade schools, the business folks and the nursing and health professions and some of the, College of Arts. But I really see our College of Arts and Sciences as the core. I want to welcome all the distinguished guests, the people who came to visit. I hope you enjoy Atlanta. If you come back, our university will be undergoing a transformation. And if you enjoy that park that's right out there, Hurt Park, it will be expanding and be the heart of our campus. And it'll look quite different in probably a year's time. So we hope y'all enjoy Atlanta, enjoy Georgia State, and I really appreciate all of y'all coming. The book winners, congratulations, this is wonderful, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.